Hello everybody, MegaZardX here, back at it again to give y'all another very exciting collection reflection video where I take the time out just go through my whole entire gaming library. Could be a game, could be a console, could be a limited edition, but today we're going to be talking about none other than Astro for the PS5, because this one, while yes, it is a little bit more recent in memory because I did manage to finish playing this game at least about a couple of months ago. This is still a great, and I mean a phenomenal game right here though. Everything from start to finish with this game was just so great and so beloved. I was like, you know what? I got to make this a dedicated collection reflection video while my thoughts are still fresh. So it's almost going to be closest thing to a review that I possibly can while it's still being in this collection reflection series though. So we might as well go ahead and jump up in it though. So if you hadn't already done so, make sure you go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. Astrobot. Now, this right here, this game made by Team Asobi, is gosh dang probably the best game that they had made from a PlayStation Studios game in a hot minute. Maybe the last great one was probably Spider-Man 2, but I mean, holy shoot, like this is definitely like that old school vibe that you might have gotten in some older classic PlayStation games, like a Jack and Daxter or something like that, or like a Sly Cooper. I mean, shoot, games that you rarely ever see PlayStation touch anymore, though. It just has an extreme amount of charm to it, though, and the experience is robust and everything runs buttery smooth. It's not that often that we manage to get a lot of 3D platformers that release. Obviously, when people think 3D platformers, what are the first things that might have come to mind? You think of games such as like, you know, Mario, like an Odyssey or something like a Super Mario 64 or something like that, though, or Super Mario Galaxy 2. You think about 3D platforms, those are some of the first to come to mind. And then you have a few other ones beyond it, though. But like, you know, and for the most part, I feel like Nintendo's the one that kind of spear leads a lot of the 3D platforms. You do have a good amount of indie, you know, studios that will go out and make 3D platforms and such from time to time, though. But like, it's not a super common thing, at least in the games, at least in the gaming sphere what we see today. But Astrobot, I felt like this game took a lot of inspiration from the Mario Galaxy games, from the first and the second one respectively, though, because there was always something brand new that you were able to do with Astrobot throughout his adventures throughout this game. Obviously, you're playing as him. Before this game even came out, there was like two other games in this series. One that was on like that PlayStation 4 VR one, and then obviously the free to play that comes with everybody's PS5 one's Astro Playroom that you also have with the PS5. And I felt like this one is definitely the breakout game where they're like, hey, look, we always did that as like a tech showcase to see exactly what you can do in a VR headset or what you can do within the PS5. But when in this game right here, it's like, all right, we're cutting the reins loose. We're just making a full-on dedicated game. And gosh by golly, it doesn't have to have a like a ballooning budget of like 200 something plus million. You just get a tight core of people. It could be 50 to 60 people, and you know, this game released for like 60 bucks or whatever though, and it's not like a gigantic AAA game, but it felt like there was a lot of ideas and a lot of inspirations and stuff that was in this game that really made it shine. I do like when you're going through it, you have like different other power-ups and stuff, like you get like robo punch hands and stuff that allow you to extend and punch out, or you get like a monkey backpack and stuff and allows you to kind of climb up walls in kind of a silly way or whatever though. And then also you might get like some kind of jetpack that gives you like extra boosts, or like things that create platforms below you. You can only do 3 at a time. The ideas were non-stop, and I don't think I've had that feeling or vibe in terms of like a fresh feeling experience from level to level in quite some time, since probably Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And while yeah, that might have been like a 2D platformer, if we're talking about 3D, probably going all the way back to Mario Galaxy, to be honest though, because a lot of people while they were going through and playing this game were making like one-to-one examples of this and comparing it to Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2. And that's probably one of the highest praises that you can probably ever give a game, to say how much inspiration it might have took or how many things they did right in terms of another game, that being Mario, a Nintendo game. Like, that is some extremely high praise. And I know Team Asobi is definitely patting themselves on the back, or at least if they hadn't already done so, they should definitely do so. Because also, in terms of like just the critic score, in terms of like the way how the game reviewed, it's in the high 90s. It's definitely, or should ought to be at this point, a contention for a runner for game of the year. Like, it has one of the highest Metacritics out there, and it'll be sad and disappointing if this does not even get nominated for game of the year though, because it was just a phenomenal start to, it was a phenomenal experience from start to finish though. So many fresh, brand new ideas. The game never felt like it went stale. I loved all the different boss encounters that you were able to do along the way. Like, each one felt unique. And then even whenever you had those special designed levels, like you have levels that are designed around a Horizon experience or a God of War experience. Like, some of those levels really stood out, and all the different collaborations you had with a bunch of different, first party PlayStation Studio games and such. Because like, you had a whole bunch of different bots. The whole point of the game is go through and rescue a bunch of bots that this weirdo green alien decided to trash your ship and kind of spread all of the bots everywhere. So you have to go through and rescue all of them though. And I like all the different callbacks that you were able to do. You can even, use some of your points and stuff to be able to actually go through and do like a roulette machine and stuff. You'll get like different things to like customize your little ship that you get to drive around on, or like different gear and stuff that your bot is able to wear. So there's just a lot of references to not even just first party PlayStation Studio games, but even other third party studio ones. I think the only one that didn't really get a whole bunch of shine is some of the Square Enix stuff. Like, we're thinking about like Final Fantasy and such. Like, there was a little bit of callbacks though, but not nearly as much as like what you saw from other things. Like, for example, like the Persona series had some representation from like Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5, things like that. Metal Gear Solid up in here, the whole spread of anything that might have been associated with PlayStation back in the day. Shoot, even Crash Bandicoot was up in this game, and that's wild to think because the dude is technically a Microsoft IP at this point though, but back in the day you kind of associated Crash with PlayStation though. So things like that I just really loved and appreciate though, and it was just a great start to finish experience though. Experience never went stale. I loved every single moment of it though, and it's still getting DLC up until this point. I mean, they were doing like some weekly drops. It wasn't like nothing big or major. They did like little speed run stuff, add more bots and stuff for you to find though. But I mean, if you own a PS5 and you still had not managed to go through and buy this game, you're doing yourself a disservice if you hadn't gotten it. Because literally, what are you gonna play? Concord that managed to get canceled like a week or two after it managed to go out for like PC and PS5s in general? Like, what else were you playing this year? You ought to give this game a shot though. And hey, you know what? If you already played it, maybe you need to give it to a gift to somebody else that might have already had this though. For the most part, I don't really see this game coming out on PC. There's just so much PS5 charm to it in terms of like all of the console references up in there. There's a bunch of those up in this game as well though. But yeah, I feel like this is definitely Astro's big breakout right here. And I really do hope Team Asobi is able to get greenlit on their next project for whatever they want to do with Astro moving from this point forward. Whether or not, if they're able to get another game out on PS5, or if they're already kind of looking for, the next adventure for him, if that happens to be the first game that you're able to play on a PS6. Who's to say though? But I can kind of ramble on and on about Astrobot and the reason why it's so good and why everybody and their mama should go out and get this game though. But I gotta leave things where they are right here and let y'all be the true judge for this game. So if you really like this video, make sure you're gonna hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussion. Let me know down in the comment section down below, have you managed to go through and play this game? Is it in your personal running for game of the year? I'm very curious to hear about that and any other thoughts you have about Astrobot. But remember y'all, until we're at video I make next, see y'all.